All right. So if you are new to Cloverleaf or coming back, this page, after you get logged in, does look a little bit different. A lot of what we did last year, we invested into AI, as I feel like every company did, and rebuilt Cloverleaf and enhanced a lot of the coaching features that you, sorry, sorry about that, you may have been accustomed to, and I think we made them run a little bit better. So, before we jump too heavily into some of the AI features that we've built, I'd just like to give everybody a lay of the land here. So, we're first going to get started with just an understanding of the account settings, some of the things that you can do on those pages. I'm not going to go over everything in detail, but I do want to point out where certain things live. So if you click your profile icon up here in the top right, you have this account settings option here. And when you get here, we have general, visibility, notifications, integrations, dashboard, and the coaching network. So if you've ever set up an account before, this first page should look pretty standard here. The one thing I always like to touch on that is Cloverleaf specific that you will want to make sure that you have filled in is this role drop-down menu here. So there's a few different options that you can choose from. And the reason why we ask you to put your role in is that it pertains to the coaching that you get. So as you'll start to see in Cloverleaf, the more that we understand about you, the more enriching your coaching is going to be. So, this first thing that you will want to make sure is set is your role. And if we understand that, we're going to find and serve you some coaching tips that maybe other team managers would get coaching on, or if you are a leader, a coach, or an individual contributor, we're going to focus a lot of that coaching you get first and foremost through your role. Next is visibility here. So this, think of it like your privacy settings. We obviously encourage everybody to share their coaching with their teammates. We understand that not everybody is on that level, and maybe you're just trying Cloverleaf out and you want to kind of see what it's about before you open up your visibility to others. So there's three different options here, according to what is most comfortable for you. This first option is public, which means that anyone with a Cloverleaf profile can visit your Cloverleaf profile and get coaching on you, go through your assessment results, look at the different pieces of coaching that they can understand about you. The second is organization. This is basically public, but just anyone in your organization. So you're not limiting it to anyone specifically, but anyone as long as you all are in the same org, which you will set up if you've created Cloverleaf for the first time or if you've been invited to an organization to join your teammates. This is the default setting. So anyone in your company can view your profile and get coaching. And then this last one here is restricted. So this means that you are basically assigning people that you are okay with getting coaching on you. There's a list that you can manage here that will allow you to add people to this list, and it works as a two-way street. So if Emery, for example, being on this list, she can get coaching about me and I can get coaching about her because we've been added to this list. And if I logged in as Emery, I would be able to see that I'm logged in as Avery and that Avery would be on this list if we switched places here. And you can change this at any time, as with most things here on Cloverleaf. Nothing here is set in stone. So if you do want to get your feet wet a little bit before you dive in, set it to restricted, and then change it from there. All right. So with notifications here, one of the core features of Cloverleaf are the nudges and the notifications that we send you. So, what you do with Cloverleaf is you log in, you take some of the assessments that are available to you. And then beyond that, you're going to start to get coaching about yourself. Those are in the form of some sort of notification. We contact you via email, or I should say, we also have Slack or Microsoft Teams integrations that you can get coaching delivered right into those applications as well. I say and or because you can get both in both places, or you can get one in one place and another in another place. So this page right here, notifications, is where you can go to manage all of that. And if this account had Slack or MS Teams connected, there would be another row here for either of those integrations to allow me to toggle and tell Cloverleaf where I want these notifications sent. Speaking of Slack and MS Teams and Calendar, the integrations page here is where you can go to connect all of that. If you're connecting Slack or Teams, your admin needs to have approved that before you can connect. Otherwise, you're probably going to get stuck in kind of a login loop. So make sure that your admin is aware and that they have to turn on and connect at the admin level to connect everything properly before you go and add your teams to your instance. And then in addition to that, we also work with Microsoft Outlook or Google Calendar to where we will send you a digest of anyone you are meeting with throughout the day. So you'll get a digest sent to you at a timing of your choosing, and it'll look at your calendar for the day. Typically, this one sends out in the morning as it makes the most sense, but we leave that up to you to decide. And you'll get a coaching tip based on your meeting schedule for the day, and then coaching about all of the folks that it found Cloverleaf profiles for inside the digest. So more often than not, I meet with my teammates internally. That's who I'm getting the coaching tips on. And that's all we kind of really look for is do the people you're meeting with have a Cloverleaf profile? And if so, we're going to match it up and give you a tip about them in that digest. And so you can connect all of that here. Next is the dashboard settings. This, as someone who works in the customer support area, this is a question that comes up not a lot, but I get enough of it. This is something that you can set up in your own account to tell Cloverleaf what assessments or features you actually want to see when you view your profile or your assessments page. So if you only want to focus on a small handful of assessments and want to turn the rest of these things off, this dashboard page is where you would go to customize that. Two things to note on that. One, I really wouldn't focus on turning a lot of things off unless you absolutely want to, because in my second point, that leads to the question of my colleague has 16 types, but I don't see it. And more often than not, this page right here will usually look something like this on the user's end, where they have forgotten that they turned 16 types off. And then because it's kind of situated here in the account settings page, um, they don't think to look there. So I would say if you're not taking it, don't really focus too much about it. You'll see some of the other features here where after we get past the assessments page that you really don't need to visit this page beyond taking the assessments. So I would recommend whatever's on, stay on. But just know that this page does exist, and if you do want to customize it, it is there for you to customize. And then the last part here is the coaching network. So this is a page where you go to tell Cloverleaf who it is that you want to get coaching on. So as mentioned on the notifications page, one of the core features are the coaching nudges that you get or the coaching notifications that you get. One of those notifications you get is called daily coaching, where in the email you will always get a coaching tip about yourself. And then your second coaching tip is going to be about someone in this coaching network. So here you can go and manage this page, add people and remove people as you need to. This is completely unique to you. No one will get notified if I remove Tariq or Kai off of my coaching network or if I go to add them back in later. This is completely set for you to manage that. And then as you get your daily coaching, the part of the algorithm that's behind that will reference this coaching network and just make sure that, hey, yes, Jordan's on this list. Let's send a coaching tip here. There's a few other factors that go into how you get a coaching tip about a teammate, but just know that for right now, coaching network is factoring into that. So that's a little bit about the account settings here. I'm going to just jump. It doesn't look like we've had any questions come in. I'm going to jump over onto our left-hand navigation menu here, and I'm going to select assessments from here. So with Cloverleaf, something that differentiates us from the other coaching platforms out there is that a lot of the coaching that you get is based on the assessments that we have available and your results of those assessments. So it's all backed by the different categories of assessments we offer. We have 16 types, Enneagram, DISC, some strengths-based assessments if you're familiar with like CliftonStrengths or Strength Scope. And then we also have some cultural assessments as well as one productivity assessment here. And so what we'll do is we'll combine all of those results, and that is how you get your coaching. We'll also factor in your role to make sure that we're delivering the relevant coaching to you based on where you're at in your career. And then combined with all of that, you can use Cloverleaf to tap into your daily coaching, as well as some of our newer AI features that we'll dive into here in a second. However, we cannot have any part of Cloverleaf without the assessment data that you give it. So your assessments page is going to probably be pretty important to start here. It's very interactive. If you do want to click through the different assessments that we offer after you take the assessments, everything is pretty interactive here. If you want to learn more about what an INFJ is, how a lot of this is being measured, you can interact with the page and learn more about the different assessments that you've taken here. A lot of the assessments here will have these ellipses up here in the corner of their modules. And for the behavioral ones specifically, I'll click one of them here. We do offer the ability to download a report for them. So 16 types, Enneagram, and DISC. You can get a report for those assessments based on your results. You can edit your scores, and most of these assessments do offer the ability to retake. Um, Certain assessments do not. We do partner with quite a few assessment providers and allow you to take the assessment on Cloverleaf or easily jump into their platform to take the assessment. Um, Due to some limitations on how they set their assessments up. So like for instinctive drives, for example, the ability to retake has not been built in, as they believe that once you result in whatever it is that you result in up here, that that is likely how it's going to be for a long time. The numbers might change within one or two, but for the most part, you're going to sit right here. Same with CliftonStrengths and Strength Scope. They do not have the ability to retake the assessment. So just know that there are certain limitations that we have to abide by, but for the most part, you can click into and retake the majority of the assessments. So once we've taken the assessments, what are we going to do with all of these results? So one, we can start getting our daily coaching. But if we want something a little bit more immediate, let's check out Discover up here on the left-hand menu. So Discover is kind of like your Swiss Army knife. This is really powered by, and I'll say enhanced by, a lot of the investments we've made into AI as well last year and this year. But Discover is multifaceted, I guess. You can use it for yourself. You can use it for yourself and a teammate and ask a question, or you can do it for entire teams. So I'll demonstrate this in a couple of different ways here. So as Avery, who is a new leader, what are oh shit, what is my? So as Avery, who I'm currently logged in as, I want to tap into some of those strengths, some of those results, filter it through what it says about my leadership style. And I can ask Discover that question. And what it's going to do is run through all of my assessment results and pull out everything related to leadership and leading, and give me a concise response here with my favorite part of the response. We include citations here, so we're showing our work in the response, which I think is one of the cooler things that we do. It's a little nerdy, but I love the fact that like a question that we often got was like, what assessment are you referencing in this coaching tip? What is this pulling from? I don't know. And so we actually come out here and we show our work that, hey, this sentence is pulling from my Enneagram, this one's pulling from my culture pulse, and so on and so forth. And you can see here all of the traits summarized in this response right here as well. And so in addition to that, when using Discover, not only do I get a response, but I have some options down here that allow me to dig a little deeper. I can ask it a follow-up question. So when has a balancing act between support and structure felt the hardest for me? How do teammates respond when I slow down or step back during tense moments? I can quickly click that box to ask a follow-up question to dive a little bit deeper into Avery's leadership style. We also have some custom guiding principles that we can upload into an organization. If you want to learn more about that, reach out to me here in support and I can get that feature enabled for you. But if you do have your own values that your company has and kind of lives by, you can upload those values into your admin, or have your admin reach out and we can get that started for you as well. But you can kind of see Avery's leadership style through your company's values as well. So what is he exhibiting here in the different values? Um, in terms of learning about Avery's leadership style and some quick ways that he can apply this, there's a section for that here as well. And then and then an area here for where I can take notes. So that's just for yourself. We also have, if we go back to Discover, these smart prompts down here, in addition to the daily coaching that you get in your email, you can also access it right here. So if you're someone who likes to log in and do everything in the platform, you don't have to get any email notifications. You can do it all within the platform. But with smart prompts, there's some preloaded questions that you can quickly ask Discover about. So I was talking about Emery earlier today. So let's demonstrate myself and a teammate. And the prompt is, how can I adapt my update format so Emery responds with deeper engagement, not just status? So it's going to take both of our profiles, run it through the prompt or the question here, and then come up with another response. Uh, another thing that I love about Discover so much is that you don't have to be an assessments expert. Also, you don't have to be a prompt engineer or an expert in AI. You don't have to ask such like a formal question or anything like that. We expect you to talk to it like a person does. So you don't need to load it up with, buzzwords or anything. Like be as human as you want to be as corporate as you want to be. And hopefully the responses you get are the same in any way that you do want to talk to it. So again, we have our cited work here, our dive deeper, apply this and take notes. So I love the fact that like this happens with myself and a teammate as well. And then if I want to round out our demo here is what our, I want to say, how do I keep motivated? So Avery, in our hypothetical here, just became the manager of the product team. And Avery wants to get to know his team a little bit better. Oh, I'm just not pulling the team. Right? Hold on a minute. Is Avery still on the product team? A lot of people demo in this. Yes, he is. Okay, so why didn't that? Let me do that one more time and then we'll move on. How do I maybe what motivates? Ask it a different way. There we go. So you can see here it's pulling the product team. I think that putting I in the question might have thrown it off here. So we're all a work in progress here. So basically, it's going to run it again, do another discover search here. It's going to pull in all of the members of the product team. I didn't have to at mention anyone or at mention the team or anything like that. This might take a little bit of extra time because there's about 5 people on this team. So it's going to reference a whole lot of different folks, and it doesn't look like it's playing nice here. It's only pulling Avery's in. Okay, well, it's supposed to be a little bit longer than that, but happily, we'll report that to make sure that we are getting some context here that is not just around Avery. But either way, your response will is supposed to mention the rest of the team here. So live demos, things change all the time. Thank you for bearing with me. But we'll get that addressed. Um, but that is a little bit about Discover here and the different things that you can do with the feature, and are supposed to do with the feature. Let's take a look at some of the other things that you can do inside of Cloverleaf. So under here on the Grow section, you've probably been seeing this green box up here. Get bite-sized coaching on this delivered to you. So this is a link that will help you create one of our newer features, which is called a coaching focus. So this button will take you to this page as you, so I'm going to click it just from here just to show you one from scratch. But with coaching focus, you can build custom coaching plans that will give you more personalized and customized tips rather than what the daily coaching experience gives you. You can build as many of these coaching focuses as you want. And the idea behind this is to, I don't want to say move away from daily coaching, but we want to address the issue of making sure that the coaching that we are sending you is actually relevant. And sometimes you'll get a coaching tip on a teammate that you might have worked with 3 months ago. And we are trying to address the question of why did I do that? So people love the daily coaching, but some people want more. And so what Coaching Focus enables you to do is to tell Cloverleaf, hey, I want coaching tip on this person or tips on this person or this team or this group of people. And I want it every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and have it run for the next 3 weeks. You know, you can set it up however you want it. You kind of get a blank canvas and can create the tip or the plan in real time to get you the coaching that you want when you want it. So let's take a look at what actually goes into making a coaching focus. And then for timing, I might just pick one of these suggestions here at the bottom. So we'll keep with the product team and their motivation. And then so I'm going to choose, I want to keep the product team energized and moving. So by default, the coaching focuses usually run for about 3 weeks, and you'll get maybe about 12 to 15 different nudges here. Um, you will get some follow-up questions to make sure that the coaching is absolutely the most relevant it can be. So I'm just going to just click through and just answer some of these questions to demonstrate what the nudges look like. And we'll do this a couple times a week. And then so it's going to again look for the product team. It's going to identify all of the members here. It's going to look at what motivates them, what keeps them energized, how to play into their strengths that they really get energy from. And then it's going to build me some nudges that are going to send a couple of times a week. So this takes a little bit of time to build as it's referencing everyone's assessment data through the lens of motivation and what is energizing these people. Once you have this plan created, you can review all of the 3 weeks, and then you can further customize it from there. So I'm going to let this run for just a second here. Okay. So you can see here we have our 3 week focus, and it's actually generating the nudges here that are going to be emailed to me a couple of times a week. And then so I can preview all of these now, and then they will go ahead and send to me um, over those 3 weeks. Couple of things as we round out the coaching focus feature is if I want to make changes, I can do so here. And I can also update my delivery settings as well. So if I want to make changes here, a little chat window will appear on the left side. Maybe I want to add a midweek plan check-in. You can chat and type to it. I think just for the interest of time, I'm doing some of the preloaded ones. But if you wanted to include your boss into the coaching focus on, what you're doing and how to keep your manager motivated, or maybe somebody who's collaborating with you cross-functionally on whatever project you might be working on with the product team, and maybe someone from marketing. For example, you could say, please include so and so into this plan, add a midweek check-in, make this a 4 week focus, condense this to 2 weeks, things like that. You can type to it and tell it to change. If you want to keep the team energized and moving and more communicative or something, you can update the plan based off of that as well. Um, so I've just added a mid plan check-in at the end of the week. And what I'll get via email, in addition to the nudges, are also those check-ins and those reminders for me to get the team together to do one of those midweek check-ins as well. And so you can update this, you can add time at any time, but you can see here all the nudges as well. Close the chat. And then if I want to update the delivery settings for this, we can go to this page here. I can get it delivered via email and probably a little more timely than 1 in the morning. Let's do 9:30. So now every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:30, Avery is going to get a coaching focus email based off of the one we just built delivered to his inbox. So that is up here in the settings page of the coaching focus page, and you can customize this at any time as well. So that's coaching focus. And again, you can have as many of these as you want. So if you want to build another one to have send on Wednesdays at 12, feel free to build one of those for that time as well. But these are really great, super specific plans that you can build that will help you get the most out of Cloverleaf and the coaching that you get from it. Next feature I want to preview is the feedback feature. As that loads, let me check chat here. No questions. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. If not, we'll keep going here. Feedback is also a feature to where you can use this not just for 360s or anything, we recommend creating feedback requests and getting into a healthy cadence of that. Um, for all projects that you work on, all collaborations that you do, if there's any kind of questions that you want to lean into Cloverleaf to help you create and get better coaching on, excuse me. Talking a lot. Sorry about that. Create a feedback request here that will um, help you ask questions based on whatever it is that you're wanting to learn more about. So this first page is your overview page here. This kind of gives you a an overview of your usage of the feature, and then you can filter through feedback received, given all the requests that you've sent, and anything that's been shared with you as well. We have a templated feature to where if there's something that you want to send out to your team, there's a couple that we've built and baked into this feature that will help you. Um, if you do want to do a 360 review or maybe a manager effectiveness feedback request, you can send this to your team and you know, that way you don't have to recreate everything from scratch. You also have the ability to create a template. um, you can create open-ended questions, and then you can also do like a sliding scale kind of questions, like, oh, from a 1 to 5, rate my effectiveness on X or something like that. So those are the two kind of question types that you can add. But if I jump back into the overview and create a feedback request, just to show you what it looks like, let's request feedback from Kai and Tariq. And again, here's the open text or the scale. Here's the template that I can load in. Um, like what? So pretty open-ended question if I want to get someone's feedback. And then there's some preloaded questions here that I can add. So if I want to ask another question, I can do that here. And then we'll go ahead and create that feedback request. Now, what the other person receives will look something like this. So Jordan asked Avery, who I'm currently logged in as, are there any roadblocks impacting your participation or collaboration in our team? And then so on the other end of this, you'll get coached on your response. Um, it'll tell you to like what's missing from your response that might help this land better for Jordan here. So we want to always use specific examples. You want to describe your impact. You want to provide suggestions, make it detailed, and then also, as always, be respectful in your tone. And then once you kind of jot your thoughts down, you can also replace this with an AI summary. Now, a lot of people might cringe at that, but I will say, um, what it does is it rewrites your response using the receiver's assessment data and Cloverleaf profile and writes it in a way to make it land better for them. And again, this part is totally optional. If you want to write this in your own words, as someone who uh, wants to do that at as much as I can. This is just a helpful tool to let you know, hey, maybe it might land better with Jordan if he heard it this way, based on his assessment results. So totally optional summary that you can tap into here. And then once you're ready to send it, you can submit the feedback from here as well. Um, and then all of that lives in Cloverleaf. Your managers can't see it. No one, your admins can't see it unless your feedback involves one of those two or the same person in some of these cases. But it only lives with the people that are involved with the request. So, you, rest assured that, we're taking your privacy into consideration and that admins cannot kind of peer over your shoulder to see what you're writing. The last feature I want to jump into that is kind of cool here is called scenarios. Now, scenarios is probably our most AI heavy feature, I will say. It allows you to practice a difficult conversation with a person on your team or in your organization. Um, it is an AI conversation. It is a scenario. It is a role play. It is AI based. It is not a replacement for the real conversation. But it allows you to maybe kind of get those rough draft, those first time jitters out. So that way you can go into the conversation with a little bit more of an idea of what to expect. So with scenarios, you can see here, this demo account has had quite a few practice conversations with various teammates. So let's add another one here. I'll try and find someone that we haven't talked to Reese. So I want to address interpersonal tension with Reese. Um, Again, just a boilerplate preloaded scenario here for the sake of time. But if there's something specific that you want to chat through that might be a little bit difficult for you to have, pop that in here in this text box. Choose who you want to practice with, or you can keep it general. If you don't have anyone specifically in mind, you can just get your run through out of the way and then go from there. But we'll go ahead and create this scenario. And then so before you can practice it, it's going to give you kind of like a quick summary of what the scenario is. It's going to give you some objectives on how to stay on track with the scenario. It might define some measurements of success, how to keep the conversation successful, and then give you some insights onto the person you are interacting with. So I can see here Reese tends to listen carefully and ask clarifying questions. She prefers to keep discussions focused on practical ways to resolve the issue, and she may shift towards smoothing things over. So these are things that I'm going to look out for. And maybe I want to challenge her on maybe not trying to smooth things over as quickly. Um, but yeah, so there's these things that I want to focus on, and then I can start the scenario. I'm not going to run through the whole thing, but we'll take a look at what this looks like. So, Avery's going to begin the conversation wanting to address the topic. Reese's response is here. There's two different ways that I can go forward with this scenario. You can text it, you can type it out, or you can use our voice feature and communicate. You will get a voice response back to kind of immerse you into that conversation. I don't think I'm sharing audio here, but just to kind of give you an idea of what to expect, you can, I'm just going to keep it general. They haven't been great. Um, so we'll see what Reese says to that. And she says, yeah, that's kind of what I thought. I get the feeling we've had some miscommunication or maybe different work styles clashing. From my perspective, there have been moments like during that team sync last week where it seemed like we weren't really hearing each other. What's actually been bothering you the most? And so I could go on and just say, yes, it does feel like we're talking past each other. I just want to make sure that we're all aligned. And then she'll help me come up with a plan and maybe try to smooth things over as fast as she can. But I might want to dig a little bit deeper. So this allows you to kind of have that back and forth. And again, no managers can see this. Admins can't see this. No one's peeking over your shoulder. Not even us here at Cloverleaf can connect you to the conversation that you have. We can see that you used it, but we can't see what you talked about. Um, and then we can see certain topics of what was being addressed. Obviously, we do this for making sure that, if there's anything that we need to escalate, such as like traumatic events or anything like that, that we're giving folks the right resources, but we can't really trace you to the conversation unless something alerts us to where there was something that where we needed to take immediate action on. So we've built in some of those safeguards, but I would say for the most part, like, no one is going to be prying on you or anything like that. Feel free to have these conversations as freely as you can, but just know that being civil and not threatening anyone. Some of that stuff can have repercussions to where we will have to take action and check in on the user as well. But for the most part, we don't trace any of that stuff. We do have your privacy first and foremost in mind. So with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and just end the scenario here. And then so the last thing that you'll see here is the grade that you get on the scenario. I probably didn't get a great one because I'm demoing this, but it'll score you on what went well, what are some things you want to work on in the future, um, and then some better things to help you prepare for the actual conversation. So we can view the evaluation here, and yeah, I got a terrible score, um, but I was pretty composed. But for a short conversation, definitely needs some work here, and here are the things that I can work on for the next time. But yeah, a lot of this is just based on coaching you to be better in the moment, to be better prepared in the moment, and to prepare you for that actual conversation as best as we can. That is scenarios. I'm going to end things here with the team dashboards, as I always like to do here. So, team dashboards are actually, hold on, let me make sure that questions have come in. Okay. So as we end today, I'm going to end and wrap up with the team dashboard, which takes all of your assessment results throughout all of the teams that you're on and allows you to look at your team from kind of like a 30,000 foot view. So we've practiced focuses, we've made some plans on how to get the most out of our coaching. We've submitted some feedback requests to help our team and ourselves collaborate and function better. And we've practiced some difficult conversations with a colleague. So um, where it all ends, or perhaps where it all might begin, is the team dashboard. So you can be on multiple different teams. You can choose between the different teams that you're on up here by clicking the name of your team. This dashboard is really good if you're a new manager or if you're putting together a team for the first time and want to get some quick understandings of how your team works, or if there's a specific assessment you want to focus on. The dashboard is a really great jumping off point for those visuals and that data there. So um, there's three different columns to the team dashboard. We have our behavioral column, which has all of 16 types, DISC, and Enneagram, plus the activities. The middle column contains energy rhythm, plus the three different strengths assessments that we offer. And then the column on the right-hand side here has the team thinking style and all of our cultural assessments, which again are instinctive drives, motivating values, and culture pulse. One thing to note about assessments is that while this account has, I think, most of the ones turned on, everyone's account is different. So if there's things that you don't see, that might be on purpose, just based on how your admin has set up the account. Um, but just a little bit about how to use this page and these team dashboards. I'm going to start over here on the left. We're going to look at the Enneagram module specifically. So after you take Enneagram, and you're viewing the team dashboard here, you can see where everybody lands in terms of what Enneagram type they are. Where this really becomes useful on the team dashboard is in addition to your Enneagram type, you can also fall into one of the three triads that Enneagram places you into. So eights, nines, and ones are in the gut triad, twos, threes, and fours are in the heart, and fives, sixes, and sevens are in the head. These triads determine how you make decisions. So as someone, I'm personally an Enneagram type 1. I make decisions with my gut. And the gut triad expander here gives you that information about folks that live in this triad. So you get an overview, you get some strengths of people that are in this triad, some obstacles they might need to overcome. And then if you are someone who is not in this triad, this is where I think it's really useful. This gives you some coaching on how to best collaborate with them. So make sure to express your opinions to these teammates by making space for discussion. Instead of demanding change, start a conversation about opportunities for improvement, as those in the gut triad may react strongly if they feel boundaries are being encroached. So I think this information is really useful. I have a lot of folks that I interact with that are in the head triad. They're very data driven, and I need to remember that for when I communicate with them, that I need to come with my work prepared, that I need to show my work, I need to have the data to back up some of these things that I'm trying to push for. And usually that lands better with them. Decisions don't always get made because of that, but because I bring the supporting evidence, it really drives it a lot better. So this triad module has been really helpful for me when it comes to interacting with folks that are not in my triad. So that's one example of how you can use these. I'm going to jump over to the right-hand column, and we'll start with the thinking styles comparison. This is really helpful for if you've brought on a new team member, or like Avery's case, he's a manager of a new team, um, or he's the new manager of this team, I should say. The thinking styles comparison allows you to compare folks' styles across four different assessments. They are 16 types, DISC, Enneagram, and our cultural assessment, one of them, instinctive drives. So each one gives you a different set of information. So Avery and Riley might need to collaborate on something in the future, and Avery wants to get a better understanding of maybe how Riley communicates. I can go to this thinking style comparison and check out some of these quick little bullet points to get a better understanding and help prepare me better for the actual interaction that I'm going to have. Underneath that, again, the cultural assessments will live here where I can see how all of my team shows up across the different cultural assessments that are offered. And one pit stop I always like to make is the culture, pulse, and motivating values assessments. They look the same. There are two different assessments here. You'll see motivating values and then culture pulse up here at the top. I know the modules kind of look the same. What Culture Pulse measures you on is the underlying drivers and influencers that you bring or that drive you in the workplace, for lack of a better word. So something like management philosophy, for example, this is how you as Avery would motivate people to get best results. So do you manage folks that like it when you play a supportive role in helping achieve a goal? So someone like Kai, if we had a deadline to meet by the end of the day tomorrow, we needed to get XYZ done. Kai would love it if Avery would divvy up the work, delegate some things, and also have that collaboration where Kai can feel like her manager is being supportive, and that's where she um, would feel that she is getting the most support by seeing her managers get down into the trenches and kind of help out. If we go over into the performance side of things, Emery prefers more of the autonomous work where, again, we got this deadline tomorrow. Emery, I need these three things done. Can you do them by the end of the week? I will trust her to go and do all three of those things and report back if she needs any assistance from there. So you can see here on these like different polls here where everybody kind of aligns based on their preferences and what drives them and motivates them. So that's a little bit about how to read that assessment. There's a couple of other categories here that will help you learn a little bit better, a little bit more about your team. That you can dive into. And one other thing to mention is as you're viewing your assessments page or the different modules on the team dashboard, these little question mark icons link to the Help Center. So if I wanted to learn more about a specific assessment or a module, this will take me right to that Help Center. Close this real quick. Um, as we round out here on the last column, this is all of our strengths-based assessments. the energy rhythm assessments, and our team rules grid. I like to talk about VIA when I get to this part. VIA is the most commonly available strengths assessment that we offer. It StrengthScope and CliftonStrengths are great. They are partner assessments. VIA is baked into the platform and will assign you a top five strengths, just like the other two. But this one is just baked in. It's more accessible for everyone. So I always like to talk about this one. But when you take VIA, you have a top five strengths based on how you take the assessments. These different strengths roll up into these different categories. So there are strengths that live in wisdom, transcendence, courage, humanity, justice, and temperance that we'll see here as I hover over the different members of the team here. So I can see here for Emery, for example, humor and hope, the yellow ones, roll up into transcendence. Zest rolls up into courage. Um, love of learning is wisdom, and forgiveness is temperance. So these are her top five strengths. If I go over to here, I see some overlap. So two folks are very similar to each other, but not exactly. So Tariq has love as his top, whereas love is the third strength in Kai's top five. So there's a lot of overlap here that when I click this, I can see each one's top five here. And the best way that I like to use this is by looking at the list of strengths exhibited. Two things to note about this. One, this is a small team. So there's usually a lot of strengths missing. But I will say missing as my second point here doesn't mean that it's not there. It's just not in their top five. So that's always just something that I always like to stick in the back of my head that kindness is not on or exhibited by any of these teammates. Even though none of these teammates are real, I'm sure that all of them are kind. But there are other strengths that shine a little bit brighter than their kindness strength. So it's not to say that just because kindness is absent means that you're not kind. It might be your sixth or your seventh or eighth. The other way that I like to use this or talk about this is a use case example. So is if Avery is working on a new product that he wants to share out with customers, he's creating a class or kind of like a quick, self-guided class that folks can sign up for to learn more about this feature. Uh, and I've got it almost ready to share, but I want to find some folks to test it out and give me some feedback. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for my folks that have love of learning in their top five and Emery and Tariq here. I'm going to share this class with them, ask them to take it, and get some feedback on them. Was it enjoyable? Was it informative enough? If I see that love of learning is there in their top five, I think I'm going to get some better feedback on it rather than someone who just has appreciation of beauty. Maybe the course looks good, but I need it to be impactful. So I'm going to go and get some folks that actually love learning to review my course and tell me where I can improve it. So I love that having that list there for me to quickly identify some folks that might give me some relevant feedback to the course I'm designing. And then last is the energy rhythms assessment here. The module for this is called Best Time of Day. Energy rhythm answers a question you probably already know the answer to, and that's if you're a morning person, an afternoon person, or maybe a night owl. What we do with that data is identify the best time of day for you to do something with your team. So I've got a lot of people who are pacers or afternoon folks. And if I want to go over some data with this team, it's going to tell me when folks are in their peak. We have one person who's going to be the opposite of this, and that's okay. Um, but this will tell me if I want to go over some data, it's best for me to do this before lunch for most of the team. We define peak as the best time for intense, focused tasks that require analytical and strategic brain power. So we're going to analyze the data in the morning, and then we're going to do some collaboration in the afternoon, where that's a recovery time. And recovery is the best time for creating tasks, such as researching or generating ideas. So when using this, I can say, let's look at the data this morning, and then let's reconvene after lunch to really go over the time for some action items that the data is telling us and some things that we can do to really drive this home. Um, I know that that's a ton of information that I just threw at y'all. So thank you for sticking with me. One thing to note as we wrap up today is that if you do have any questions at all, I can be reached by opening up this little chat box here, going to the messages tab, and asking a question. We do have an AI bot, but I'm the only guy in customer support, so I'm watching it all the time. I'm making it better as I go. I'm still trying to work on that every day. But if you do have any kind of question at all and the bot can't help you, ask for a human and it'll get you to me and we'll get you on your way. But um, thank you all so much.